Welcome, everybody. We are just getting started. This is a News for Us World Special Report. We are going to be covering cruel and unusual punishment in the Washoe County Jail and much, much, much more. So stay tuned. All right. So, with that being said, we have Dottie with us here, Angela. We have Stu Handy, Matthew Carlotos, and myself, Stephen Phillips. And is Anne Marie going to be jumping on you guys?
Um, Good question. I don't know, Stephen.
I sent her the link via email, so
Yep.
if she's able to join us, I'm sure she will. All right, let's begin. Let me read our disclaimer and we'll start. And I'll let you begin telling our viewers what's going on with Roger, Stu.
Thank you. And I'll segue into Matt.
Sounds good. The views expressed on the show are expressly the views of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views, beliefs, opinions of News for Us World, its hosts, broadcasters, or affiliates. Remember, folks, always use your own discernment when viewing. We encourage our viewers to think for themselves. All right, welcome everybody. We are here and we are live. We're getting started a little bit late, but that's okay. So, Stu, why don't you start off and tell us what's going on with Roger's medical condition right now and how he's not being given proper medical care and how this has been an ongoing issue for what months now, like at least the last six?
Well, I'm going to tell you, Stephen, it's been going on for 15 months. The man's been illegally
Oh wow.
incarcerated on the corrupt judge's order. His name's Barry Breslow. I'm going to start naming names tonight because we're to the point where a man's life is at stake, Stephen, and everybody else that knows about this. And Matt's going to be on here shortly to expound a little bit.
Okay.
Both myself and Roger Hillygus are being illegally tried on a criminal case here in Washoe County, having to do with kidnapping his mother, which never happened. And I'm not going to get in the merits of the case because I don't give these people any course to come after me. I'm outside right now. I could do better outside than inside the jail. However, I will expound on the fact that I was incarcerated for 92 days, 85 of that, which were in the Washoe County Detention Facility. That jail is the modern day Auschwitz. And I keep using that because that's what it is. It is a concentration camp. It's run by a dictator by the name of Sheriff Darren Bala, who, by the way, failed his FTO program when he was a deputy. But Daddy was a sheriff at the time, so he saved his job. The deputies in there are thugs for the most part. There are some good deputies in there, and I'm not going to bring their names into it. The good ones that treated me decently when I was in there, but there are some thugs in there, and they're badge heavy, and those guys need a real dose of lesson in life. My friend and my co-defendant tonight is fighting for his life. Has a prolapsed bladder, which if that ruptures, he'll become septic. He'll die in a very painful, horrible death. They don't give anybody any treatment in there. They don't bring anybody any quantified or qualified medical help. They don't. Last I checked, when I was in there, they didn't even have a doctor on staff. You've got a detention facility. It's and Matt knows the numbers here. It's overcrowded to the nth degree. They got people in 3 and 4 people in a bunk that's in the cell that's designed for two. And they had people actually sleeping in the halls at one point in time when I was in law enforcement and I knew about. It's out of control. There's been 48 known deaths of in custody inmates that we know of, our group, our advocate group, since July of 2004. That is atrocious. That is unbelievable. And for anybody in political power and positions in this state or the federal government for that matter to not look into this is beyond comprehension. It's reprehensible conduct. And I'm demanding and challenging the state legislators in this godforsaken state of Nevada, the corrupt state that it is. Reno's not the biggest little city in the world. It's the biggest little corruption city in the world. And I'll state that. It's worse than Vegas. And trust me, I've lived in both places. I was a state trooper for 20 years in this state, so I've been in both places. I'm challenging and demanding accountability, demanding a federal investigation into this disgusting facility run by this sawed-off little dictator by the name of Sheriff Darren Balaam. Walking Small is my affectionate name for him. He is exacerbating the health conditions set forth on my friend and co-defendant Roger Hillygus. Roger Hillygus is 6'2", and I believe right now he's probably below 150 pounds. He's in a wheelchair. He suffers from vertigo. He's been denied medical help, and now he has a situation where it requires surgery to fix a prolapsed bladder, and they're not doing anything. They're basically executing this man. They're basing their facts on, well, if he dies, he dies. That's their attitude in there. I was in the jail, like I said before, and I observed a man who was walking around with a broken arm. I observed a man who was walking around with an IV bag. He should have been in the hospital. He'd been shot 5 times by the Reno Police Department. And these guys, why would they lie to me? They told me their story. Now, some of their stories were illegal. The guy that got shot 5 times, his next felon, he had a gun, but he's protecting his girlfriend and himself because he lived in a bad section of town. The other guy, they denied him his anti-seizure medication. Of course, he had a seizure. He was in the top bunk. He fell on the top bunk, fell on the concrete floor, broke his arm. And he's walking around the infirmary where I was housed with a broken arm, one arm on the other. Another good friend of mine, Tommy Shigola, I was denied his heart medication for 22 days. He went down to less than 40 beats a minute, his heart. He almost died, and they had to transport him twice from the detention facility to the hospital so he could get proper medical care. And I'm gonna leave it right there for now, and I'll let Matt jump in on this because I'm angry, and I have a lot more to say tonight, Stephen. But I want to let Matt jump in on this
Go ahead,
because
Matt. It's all you.
people
It's
need
all
to
you,
know.
buddy.
All you. Go for it, brother. Go for it.
Essentially, on the heels of what Stuart spoke to, it's a multifaceted problem. The sheriff's department is AWOL. They're absent without leave. They don't adhere to the Constitution, the state constitution, the rules under NRS 212, which basically speaks very clearly to abuse and neglect of the jailed. And again, this isn't a prison; it's a jail. It is a way station for their trials, to their Sixth Amendment rights to a speedy trial and to under no circumstances cruel and unusual punishment. And this place is chock full. I have spoken to several inmates that have spoken to the abuses that go on in there that include torture, psychological as well as physical. We know that Roger Hillygus is deprived sleep. He never took medications to get restful sleep, but since he's been in there the last 6 months, he's taken this because he has a flashlight shined in his eye, every 2 to 3 hours. It's deliberate harassment. The cell block that he's in is deliberately kept, ice cold. It's cold enough outside right now, as Stuart can attest to. They've got a major snowstorm rolling through there. The man has requested numerous times thermal garments to wear in the cold weather. He was denied all year. The NAFCARE staff was responsible for permitting that, and actually NAFCARE was the one that denied him those thermal garments for more than 12 months. It took a gentleman leaving the facility to give him his hand-me-downs and say, "Hey, I know you don't have any. I want you to have these." The sheriff's department actually approved it, and it was NAFCARE was the one that did not approve it.
Wow.
And they're the ones in February of 2023 said 2 months in that he had circulatory issues, and yet they were denying him those thermal garments.
That's bullshit. That's malpractice. That's
And Roger says, I'm seeing all these people around me walking around with them on, and he goes, why would they deny me that? And the reason is because
that doesn't make any sense.
And Roger, also, did he get placed in the infirmary for that too, Matt? After the guy gave him thermals?
Well, the biggest reason is, Stephen, anytime somebody contacts an inmate, they're recorded, whether it's their text messages or whether it's their phone conversations.
Well, yeah, that's a given.
Corporation by the name of Smart Jail, which Smart Communications out of Florida,
pretty much, yeah.
It's a multi-million billion-dollar concern that handles all of our jails and our prisons now, and these men and women are scrutinized to the nth degree when they speak about their habitat and what they go through on a daily basis. They're recorded, so there's retaliation out of the gate for speaking about what goes on in there. And Roger is a monument in that he has given us a great deal of information, not only about his own circumstances, but other jailed inmates that he has corresponded with, that he has encouraged to speak to us as reform advocates, and they've come to us. But there's a price, because this jail is renegade. It doesn't run by the law. It doesn't run under Nevada Revised Statute 212. It violates the rights of every man and woman in this facility, and it abuses those that speak out. So Roger has developed a great deal of physical and psychological injury while he's been in there. The worst of it is culminating now in what they call a prolapsed bladder, which was brought on, I believe, primarily by the circumstances of the diet, which is deplorable. I mean, they eat the worst food. Stuart can speak to it better than I can, but Roger says the food is hideous. Somebody told me a while back that they advertise that they have a 4-star chef that feeds the inmates at this jail. And based on the large number of descriptions that I've received from Roger over many, many months, it sounds like that to the contrary. That's not possible. Roger said he had one of the worst meals he's ever had the day before yesterday. He said, creamed corn, or he said something to that effect. He said rice that was overcooked, and he just said it tasted disgusting. And he said, by and large, he said there are illnesses right and left. There are E. coli poisoning that goes on, and if you've got a medical disorder like he has with his neurogenic bladder, which, by the way, he received due to an injury many years before he got caught up in this situation that he's in now. It's going to cause demonstrable problems. It's going to be exacerbated or aggravated with the types of foods he eats. There are issues where he's stressed out. Stress plays a huge role, we know, in our physical and emotional behavior. And if you're being intimidated and you're being cajoled and you're being threatened all the time, it's going to have an impact on your what you can take in, what you can't take in. And he said illnesses are very prevalent. We have recorded through a number of inmates the sanitary conditions in the walk-in refrigerators and the food storage areas, where food is sometimes 2 to 3 weeks past expiration, and they open up these canisters of bologna or these containers of bologna, and they feed it to him anyway. So you have all of the preliminary conditions of diet that are going to exacerbate whatever other health issues he had as an ADA designated inmate before he even came to this facility. Washoe County Sheriff's Office put him in a wheelchair. They designated him as ADA. And
what's the Birch Barn?
Say that again.
Somebody put something in the chat about the Birch Barn. What's that?
I'll talk about that as soon as Matt's done.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I was just curious. I didn't know if that was relation to what Matt was talking about or something you were talking about. Okay.
So essentially, the neurogenic bladder disorder has been treated primarily for Roger through vitamins or through supplements. I know he takes a multivitamin, and he takes I'm trying to remember now what it is. Triple magnesium for his disorder. But the cat and mouse of his situation is every time he talks to us and tells us about what's going on in there, Stephen, they punish him. And they just don't punish him on things like, keeping his area lit 24/7 or flashing a light in his face when he's trying to sleep. They basically go to the nth degree, and this is NAF care, denying him his supplements. Huh?
Go ahead, Anne Marie.
Anne Marie's on.
Hey, sorry,
Not-
I did that. Sorry, I didn't realize I was off mute. Sorry, I was picking my phone up. I dropped it.
Oh no, we thought you were wanting to say to chime in. That's all right. No worries.
Oh no, she could chime in about her brother. Let me tell
Yeah,
you.
feel free to, because we're talking about inhumane, cruel and unusual punishment
No,
in
we
Washoe
actually
County Jail.
need
So
for her to speak to it, but
Yes.
Roger's condition is exacerbated by all of the problems that I'm speaking to right now. The treatment, which is a form of torture. And I have to be honest with you, I know a lot of military people, and I know ex-military that have spoken to their careers and what they saw in places around the globe. And I'm not going to get specific, but a lot of the stuff that has just been described to me through at least a dozen inmates in this facility sounds like Guantanamo Bay, sounds like Abu Ghraib, sounds like Camp Rhino. I mean, maybe not as bad as the pictures that we saw post 9/11, but pretty bad, Stephen. They have this thing called a combative chair, where if an inmate is unruly or they're having problems with them, they take plastic straps and they tie him from the ankle to the knee. They force their shoulders forward and they peel their arms back to the point where their shoulders are touching each other. Literally forcibly separating their shoulders. And I have had at least 4 inmates describe this to me in detail. So it can't be a lie. They've seen this, and they want the inmates to see this because they're setting an example that, hey, if you get out of line and you don't do what we tell you to do, this could be you. And Stuart can elaborate even further. You can't look the jailer in the eye. If you look the deputies in the eye, that can constitute a demerit or worse, depending on what mood the goon is in.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Wow.
Let me expound a little bit on Burger Barn before we lose train of thought. Burger Barn is a subcontracted firm that does business with Washoe County Sheriff's Office. It does not do business with any other detention facility in northern Nevada that I found. And that included when I was a sheriff in Mineral County. We did not subcontract to Burger Barn. Burger Barn was developed when Sheriff Richard Kirkland, you've heard that name before, haven't you, Stephen? Sheriff Richard Kirkland was the sheriff. And apparently it was developed with the head of the Burger Barn Corporation being his wife, Cindy Kirkland. So you want to start doing the connected dots. All these sheriffs are connected. Kirkland was connected to Balaam, Dennis Balaam, who was Darren Balaam's dad, and Mike Haley. They're all running this little neat corrupt circle of former sheriffs and current sheriffs. In fact, Darren Balaam made it his when he was running for election the first time, made it known that he was a mentor of Richard Kirkland. It was about as tall as him too, 3 foot tall, can't see over fence at all. Yeah, that's him. So the Burger Barn was developed with Cindy Kirkland, Richard Kirkland, and a gentleman by the name of Pat Dolan. Now, what they do is they charge inmates 2 times and 3 times, sometimes even 4 times what it would cost. For instance, if you got a cheeseburger out, I mean, average price of a cheeseburger, let's say, is about $4.50 to $6.50. Not up there. It's $12.50. Okay, and continuing on, they jack the price up because people get so sick and tired of eating the garbage, which Matt just alluded to. That's in there. Now, I used to eat it only because I acclimated myself to eat it, because you could go broke with Burger Barn. Thank God for Matt and others that put money on my books. Now, I didn't use it all the time, but they come by and say, "Well, tonight we have pink chicken for dinner, Stuart." I go, "Pink chicken?" Yeah.
I think I'll pass, right?
Yeah, no.
Well, it's important. It's important to elaborate on that. Stu,
Go ahead. I was just thinking that just sounds disgusting. Just thinking about it.
In it. And what they do is they mix and mash. So, for instance, if you had chicken the night before, the following night you may have chicken mixed in with some other stuff, and they get rid of all the food. They've got these sandwiches up there called, they used to call them cat food sandwiches, What it is a mixture of hot dogs and Spam put together in a big blender, and they add a whole bunch of salt in there. Let me tell you, the salt is, but you got to eat it, because if you don't eat it, you lose strength. And if you lose strength, you might as well just throw the towel in and say enough's enough. So I used to be able, I had to, I mean, it's disgusting, but if you don't keep up your strength, folks, guess what
You got to
happens?
keep up your strength,
You got to keep your
especially in a
strength, and
place like
you
that.
can't keep buying Burger Barn all the time, because it'll put you in the poorhouse. And not everybody's
Exactly. And Stuart's raising an interesting point. All of these inmates have a quandary. If they don't have a public defender that's doing their job, and none of the public defenders or alternate public defenders are doing their job, and that's another segment that we can have that's really telling. They're caught with opportunity cost. Do I feed myself properly and survive on better food, or do I try to allocate whatever monies I have left to pay for an attorney outside, because the public defender's office is completely tainted and is a rubber stamp for the DA's office? But that's a subject for another time.
So let me use an
No,
analogy.
it really is. You're absolutely right, Matt. I've seen it time and time again, and and there's a little inside joke, public pretenders. I'm sure everybody will appreciate that, but that's really what it's become. It's not. It's not representation at all.
Before we stop off this topic, and Matt's 100% correct. There's a couple movies that come to mind about the food. If you ever watched The Longest Yard, the original, or Papillon, where they used to just put gruel on a tray and feed it to you. Well, I'm not going to say it's that bad, but if you don't eat the food that they give you, Matt has put it exactly 100% correct. You're in a quandary. Do I pay extra, if you even have the money to pay extra, for the Burger Barn, which of course the money proceeds from that are going funneled back into, I'm going to say it's probably going back in the sheriff's pocket and a former sheriff's pocket. It's all little corrupt little criminal enterprise amongst cops. Okay.
Here's the other thing, Stuart, that I found out about, and I don't know whether you were aware of this, but evidently not the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, probably because they get federal funding, but the prisons in your state, when you're admitted to prison, when you're processed, you don't get any free calls. All those calls have to be paid for. Did you know that?
Did not know that, but hopefully I won't be heading to prison anytime soon. Yeah. But
I didn't know that.
It's interesting to note, Matt, that this Burger Barn enterprise only, and again, the Reno Police Department doesn't have a detention facility. Every law enforcement agency in Washoe County brings their inmates into the Washoe County Sheriff's Office detention facility, whether it's a tribal police department, Sparks Police Department, University of Nevada Police Department, Reno Police Department.
Is odd.
So every inmate that is arrested in Washoe County is brought into the Washoe County. Now, Carson City Sheriff's Office has its own detention facility. Do they subcontract to Burger Barn? Nope. Let's go down to Douglas County. Douglas County, south of Carson County, has its own detention facility. Do they subcontract to Burger Barn? Nope. Let's go down to Lyon County. Lyon County Sheriff's Office, which is just south and east of both Douglas and Carson City County, has their own detention facility. Do they subcontract to Burger Barn? Nope. Down in Mineral County, where I was the sheriff, did we subcontract to Burger Barn? Nope. You start to see the picture. One detention facility out of all the northern Nevada. We can go out east. Let's go out to Churchill County. Churchill County borders Lyon County, has their own detention facility. Do they subcontract to Burger Barn? Nope. You want to go further east? Let's go to Lander County. Let's go to Eureka County. Both of those have their detention facilities. Subcontract Burger Barn? Nope. How about Elko County, where I was for 7 days, way up east of Reno, about 400-something miles east of Reno. 7 days I spent there. Did they subcontract to Burger Barn? Nope. One detention facility in the entire northern part of the state, probably the whole state, subcontracts to Burger Barn. You want to ask yourself why? Follow the money train.
But why does NDOC, Stuart, the Northern Nevada Detention Center, that for the prison now, we're talking prison, why don't they allow at least one phone call a week for the inmates? My understanding is they have to pay for all of their communications.
Matt,
phone.
It's a different system. You're going from county to state. That's why. It's not, they don't commingle. So the state has different rules and regulations. Once you get transferred from a county detention facility, and each county detention facility can have its own rules and regulations. Okay. When I was the sheriff of Mineral County, we allowed free phone calls for the inmates because we're a small detention facility. Now, if an inmate was unruly or disrespectful or out of control, then they get put in lockdown till they decided to straighten themselves out. We cooked dinner in our own kitchen in the Mineral County Sheriff's Office for the inmates. When I was up in Story County, again, another county, small little county, I worked up there. Did we subcontract a burger barn? Nope. But we bought frozen TV dinners, Swanson's and others, banquets, and made them for the inmates. And we changed up the menu every now and then so they have a better uh, uh, delicacy on delicacy. They have a better, different menu that they weren't eating the same thing day after day. Washoe County, like I said, they just mix stuff up. So you had something the night before, guarantee you have the something the next night and maybe the third night because they save money. Where's the money going? Who gets the money?
Angie, you want to say it out loud? Angie, that was funny. That was great. Say that out loud.
I was just curious if they had soil and on the menu. This is the jail with all the.
Oh, well, your mic is way over heightened. Bring down the input on your mic. It's way.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We did.
Do they have soil and green on the menu? Yeah, no kidding. Probably.
This is the jail with all the deaths, right? That's
Yeah,
going
they
on
probably have soil and green on the menu.
without
Yeah.
one place, man. I don't know. That's questionable all the way around to me.
Well, somebody's making some.
Bring your
I mean,
mic input a little bit. Bring it down, Dottie, in your settings. I
Yeah.
think it's a little bit loud.
All right, hold on.
Popping a bit.
there. Think about this to everybody, Emery, Dottie, Stephen, and Matt. Think about this, and everybody listening in. You have one detention facility in all these counties I've just named, and I named off about 10 or 11 counties. One county out of all those counties subcontracts to the burger barn. Who runs the burger barn now? That'd be an interesting little ditty because last I checked, it was Cindy Kirkland. That was the CEO of this, along with Pat Dolan. And isn't it an odd thing that Pat Dolan's still on staff up the Washoe County Sheriff's Office after he's been there for, last I checked, he may not be there anymore. He was getting old and run down. Pat Dolan, interesting man, very tied into all the players up here in Northern Nevada, and including Pat Dolan being the resident agent of a little corporation called St. Andrews Golf Shop Limited. Now, if everybody can remember about the golf, I believe St. Andrews was where golf originated in Scotland, but Richard Kirkland and his little gaggle of corrupt people ran St. Andrews Golf Shop Limited, and that was still running when he was the director of Department of Public Safety, where the Nevada Highway Patrol, where I was a state trooper, served under. What was that company? It was a shadow company, didn't exist. So we're going to start getting into stuff down the road, but I want to get back to Roger. Roger's health is in peril.
I'm
His
gonna
life
bring
is
up.
in jeopardy.
I'm gonna bring up the email that you sent, Matt, from what was it?
His POA.
Yeah, from his one representing him on the outside. I forget.
And
her
you're
name.
talking about his current medical condition with the prolapse.
Well, the
thing.
one that she sent to the jail yesterday. Which email was that? What was the subject heading on that? I forget. Focus. No, it was.
Let me see.
Hold on. I'm trying to find. I seen it yet. I seen it or had it up earlier. 1 second. Oh, I think this is it right here. I think it is. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You're talking about the one that says, "Please be advised any delay or
Yeah,
refusal."
from the one from down a Cartwright. That's right. That's the one I'm thinking
Yeah.
about. I got it
Yeah.
right here. I got it. Let me share a screen and then I'll let you get into that. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. So here we go. This is the first attachment, but go ahead and I'm just gonna. You want to read it, Matt, or should I?
You go ahead and read it, and then
Okay.
as a segue, I'll actually leverage what you speak to in
Okay.
this, addressing this to a medical doctor that's a very dear friend of mine that I contacted or consulted with about Roger's condition.
Okay, so this says regarding Roger Hillygus, this is Friday, January 5th, 2024 at 5:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe. says regarding Roger Hillygus, I have received information concerning the medical condition and physical well-being of Roger Hillygus. As power of attorney and spokesperson for Roger Hillygus, I demand immediate medical assistance to treat his declining health, to include him being transferred to the nearest hospital for treatment. Please be advised any delay or refusal to transfer Roger Hillygus to the nearest hospital for medical attention for his declining health, or if serious bodily injury or death should occur as a result of your failure and neglect to provide medical care to Roger Hillygus, you will be held personally responsible, and I will be forced to refer this matter to our attorney. Notify me by tomorrow, January 6, 2024, with an update on the condition of Roger Hillygus. Power of attorney for Roger Hillygus. Thank you, Donna Cartwright.
Yes, essentially, I talked to Donna about what information I gathered from a medical doctor, board certified physician here in Northern Virginia, who actually looked after my dad when he was being physically battered and abused in his nursing home in Merrifield, Virginia, and this is several years ago. I think the world of her because she's done things that a lot of doctors, like lawyers, like anybody in any other profession, would do if it served to compromise, their positions, whatever job they were in. But she took the Hippocratic Oath seriously, and she's a wonderful woman, beautiful human being inside and out, and she cares about the patient. She took the Hippocratic Oath seriously. I brought this recording of Roger.
My father was a medical doctor, and he took it very seriously as well.
Yeah, and they really don't exist anymore, Stephen. They're not a lot of them out there.
No, they're not.
She's a very rare commodity, but essentially, I played the recording of Roger giving me a very descriptive blow-by-blow analysis of what he's been going through and what distress he's been under. And she just said, yeah. She said a prolapsed bladder, prolapsed can get very serious if it continues or persists and it's left untreated. And essentially, what it is it's the bladder is a hollow vessel, and in which urine passes through it. And if it's weakened or loosened for whatever reason, in Roger's case, it was due to an injury that he sustained when he was working years ago, it has to do with the damage to his spine. They have to treat it properly, and the way they treat that properly is, they unconditionally give him the regimen of supplements that he requests, and normally if it's triple magnesium, they give it to him with liquids and food. Well, NAFCare, the medical staff that's in charge of the facility, plays games with him. They essentially, sometimes they give it to him with food. Sometimes they don't give it to him with food.
That's bullshit.
Sometimes
bullshit, man. Nobody has the right to treat another human being like that.
Sometimes they just deny him his supplement altogether and say, hey, we don't have it. So when you lose, as you know, with medications, if you don't take them properly, they lose their efficacy. And then you're starting over again, or, you lose.
Yeah, because your body, it has to adjust all over again.
Exactly,
and the body chemistry takes a while for your body to adapt, yada, yada, yada. You got to give it like a week at least most of the time.
So minimum. All the things that I previously discussed about the food, which are contributing factors to his melees, his issues with his disorder. He literally is having a lot of discomfort and a lot of pressure, which over time to his bladder could rupture and cause some serious issues. We got to communicate.
That could be fatal, could it not, if it ruptures?
Well, absolutely. And all Roger is asking for is, please take me to a doctor. Let me get this evaluated. Let me get some blood tests at a medical facility, and then be treated properly, and then we're done with this. But they refuse.
He's already in a wheelchair, isn't he?
Yes, right, but they refuse to do it. They're basically saying, it's not a problem. You read Rex Weeks, the staff member that's responsible for his treatment. Mm-hmm. The doctor Benson doesn't want to have anything to do with it. And if you try to contact anybody in NAFCare, they're headquartered in Birmingham, Alabama. They are like a Praetorian fortress. You cannot
Wow.
call any one of the numbers that are listed.
You know,
They either have a 1-800 number or a 205 area code.
and Dottie, last night when we were on the Zoom with Jessica and them, um, when they called them, what didn't they say something about that? Didn't VineLink operator tell Jessica's boyfriend something to that effect that you okay, good luck getting through to a person there, right? Angie, are you back? Unmute yourself, Dottie.
Yeah, he was telling him good luck to even have someone live, like answer the phone at either one of the numbers he had. He had 2 phone numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was crazy. We thought that was interesting because that corroborates what you're saying, Matt. Go ahead.
So essentially, Donna is Roger's POA. We were making phone calls to NAFCare frantically the last 2 days. And it's gotten more stringent than I remember the last 6 months. I was lucky enough 6 months ago, somebody in human resources that gave me the points of contact in Nevada for the NAFCare health team at the Washoe County Sheriff's Office. If I hadn't stumbled on this woman who was kind enough, considerate enough, and considering what they do for a living as a business in the medical profession, giving me the contact information for the lead doctor at the jail, I would have been out of luck. And I tried re-approaching it to get some other numbers the other day, yesterday and the day before. We couldn't get any. We could not. Everything goes to a voicemail service. You call each one of the 9 or 10 different options, and when you go to the operator, no operator is available.
Oh! I think when you press 8, it doesn't go anywhere either. It just loops you back to the menu.
Correct.
Yeah. No, we experienced that last night, didn't we, Dottie?
Yeah. NAFCare is a nasty subject because they have been under criminal indictment with the federal government. I know at least on one. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And they're still in business?
The Department of Justice fined them several $1,000s, not millions, but $1,000 for padding the costs to their federal contracts. And I mean, we're talking about multi-billion-dollar whatever. And
that's all they did? A slap on the wrist? Are you serious?
And that's it. A slap on the wrist. I think it was like $150,000 or $200,000, and they're still there.
What an insult to the American people, huh?
Correct. So,
Anne-Marie, would you like? Oh, go ahead,
yeah.
Matt. We'll finish with Matt, and then I was going to have Anne-Marie speak on.
Actually, I want Anne-Marie to talk too.
Anne-Marie, would you like to come on and speak a little bit from your experience? Go ahead.
Sure. Well, here's a fun fact about NAVCare. They were the medical vendor when my brother was murdered at the jail. My brother was, for people who don't know, my brother's name was Thomas Purdy, and he was 38 years old when he had a mental health crisis at the Peppermill Casino in Reno. He asked security for help. Instead of helping him, they called Reno police. He was non-combative, non-aggressive, non-violent. And Reno PD hog-tied him and dumped him up at the hellhole Par Boulevard, Washoe County Jail. He had been hog-tied for approximately 40 minutes by the time they dumped him at the jail and left him there hog-tied, where he told the deputies and the nurse that he couldn't breathe, that he was going to die, that he had a major prior lung surgery, which he had a collapsed lung. Instead of cutting the hog tie off, and they put him face down and asphyxiate him. But so NAVCare was the medical vendor, and then in 2018, when Balaam was running for election, days before election day, he took 2 $5,000 campaign contributions from NAVCare, and shortly after he got into office, NAVCare's contract was up for renewal. Now, there had been 14 deaths under NAVCare's watch under the prior sheriff before Balaam got elected, and Balaam approved them being their contract being renewed, and suggested to the county commissioners that NavCare get the contract, even though there had been numerous deaths under their watch as the medical vendor at the jail under the prior sheriff. That wouldn't have anything to do with the $10,000 they floated him, right?
Oh, I know. It's ridiculous.
Oh,
It's
that's such
ridiculous.
important
Yeah,
information.
no, not at all.
Yeah. So my brother was actually one of 3 men that were asphyxiated by deputies within that a 1-year period. All of those deputies still work at the jail. Many of them actually have been promoted, work on the street now. That's where they start off as the jail. But I want to talk about that food issue again, because I don't know if Matt mentioned, but we were corresponding with an inmate named Robert Ramirez. And he just went over to NDOC. He was sentenced to prison on January 5th. And when you look at that man's booking photo, he was at the Washoe County Jail for 1 year. And you look at his booking photo and you look at his NDOC photo, and he is so emaciated. He looks like a totally different man because he was a whistleblower and continued to call out of the jail and report the wrongdoings going on there. They literally kept that man in ADSEG the whole time, or in a unit where he was not entitled to get commissary. And I mean, his eyes are all sunken in. It's horrible. I was like shocked when I saw the photo. I can believe it because he literally told us they were starving him to death. And you see that photo and you know it's the truth. Matt saw it.
Anne-Marie sent me the picture and I was horrified. He has been complaining to us for a while about the portion control that's been going on. And he said, Matt, I don't think I get barely 1,000 calories a day. And I said, why? And I said, do you think it would help if I report this? And he said, no. He said, I don't. He said, they're going to do what they're going to do. And he said, as long as I'm in the SHU, which is the special housing unit, and that's solitary confinement. And again, he met solitary confinement because he was talking to us. He was talking to reform advocates that want to change the parameters of this hellhole, that have been reaching out to commissioners and state legislators on a consistent basis that refuse to talk to us, that refuse to engage with us.
And they like to claim that they have no control over the sheriff's office, the county commissioners.
That's their
They
common
have the
excuse.
ultimate
Yeah.
control. They have the ultimate control. They make the budget.
They
So
do.
when you hold the purse strings,
Man.
you have the ultimate control.
How dare they?
Anne-Marie, again, I'll jump in here. First of all, what they did to your brother was murder. Positional asphyxiation. As a former law enforcement officer of 30 years, you are only allowed to keep a person in that position for a very limited time because of the position the body's placed into and the stressors that's put on upon the body. You can't keep a person in positional asphyxiation, being hogtied. That's positional asphyxiation for any period of time. And most of the time, the people's stress level and blood pressure is going through the roof. And if you add in any other mitigating factors, all you're doing is lighting the fuse, and it's going to blow up in your face. I've seen people go, and there's been deaths prior to Anne-Marie's brother, of people here in Reno that were placed in the backseat of a police car and died from positional asphyxiation. And that people don't understand that, or they don't care. And the boot-jacketed thugs that work at the Reno Police Department, some of them, not all of them, but a good portion of them, or the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, some of them, not all of them, but a good portion of them, that's all, they get off on doing that. It's a power trip, just like the little sheriff, the power trip, like the chief of police,
No,
the power
I've seen
trip.
a lot of those in multiple different places like that. Just like it's a rampant problem we have, I think, all throughout.
It is. And, Stephen, it starts, and we'll get to the root of the problem, the root cause here. The root cause is when you have civilians, and I'm not judging civilians by any way, shape, or form, doing the background checks on potential police candidates. If you're having a guy that's going from one police department to another, that's a red flag. 2 police departments, that's a big red flag. Okay. And I did background investigations, but they took that away from law enforcement years ago, gave it civilians. Well, civilians don't understand. And if you pass this one guy, he gets to be an officer, then he gets to be a sergeant, then he gets to be a lieutenant, captain, all the way up there. Pretty soon he's running the show. And this is a guy who should never been a cop to begin with. Just like Darren Balaam, he failed his FTO program. Okay. Daddy sheriff at the time.
What is an
Dennis
FTO?
Balaam,
What is an FTO for the viewers who don't know?
field training observations, field training officer, field training observations, field
So
training
basically,
officer.
situational awareness, sit rep, all that shit.
Well, well, you can graduate the academy, Stephen, and everybody on this call knows this. You can graduate the academy, but if you get thrown out in the streets, it's a sink or swim. The academy is not real life. The streets are real life, or the jail.
Right. There's no substitute for real life experiences, I like to say.
Correct. So Darren Balaam could not cut it out on the streets. He failed the FTO program. And what Daddy did is he brought all the FTO officers, field training officers, into a meeting and said, from this point forward, you're not to fail anybody. They rewrote the entire field training observation or officer program manual to suit son Darren's promotion, or to suit son's Darren acceptance into a permanent position. Because when you're on probation, you can be fired for anything. So probationary deputies or police officers or state troopers, if you screw up out there in the field, you can be fired for anything. And that's why everybody's, if you don't go out there and tackle it head on and say, hey, I'm doing my best, but Darren apparently failed the FTO program. And I got that from more than one person, very reliable sources within the Washoe County Sheriff's Office. But guess what? Daddy saved his job. Daddy saved his job because he wanted to make sure one of these days his little boy could be the sheriff. Well, son of a bitch. Ain't that a funny? He's the sheriff. And here's a guy who failed the FTO program. So there's accountability at the top.
Nero with a match.
Yeah. Walking small, 2 feet tall, can't look over a fence at all. That's Darren Balaam. I don't give a shit. Let him come after me. Let him try to come after me. But, they murdered Anne-Marie's brother, Thomas. They murdered other people in there. God only knows how many other people, Stephen, have been murdered inside the facility. There's one of them.
Sure, we need to talk about the 2 deaths that have happened in the month of December prior to this.
How about Matt? How about the one that didn't happen, that wasn't on the books in October?
There was a couple of recent ones, if I recall.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me yield to Matt, and I just want to tell you that this is a problem. It's an inherent problem. It's getting worse by the day. And until this problem's fixed, you're going to have more situations that are taking place involving Anne-Marie's brother's death, Nolan Klein, others that have died under the abuse and power and authority of those who wield positions of power and authority in cities, counties, and states. And these people that just turned a blind eye to this garbage. I've lived here 49 years. I've seen enough. I've had enough. My friend's Roger's dying, and I'm going to let it run right over to Matt or Anne-Marie. I'm going to take a step back because we got lots more to talk about.
Go ahead, Anne-Marie. Or Matt, either or Dottie or Allie, if anybody wants to speak. Dottie, why don't you chime in a little bit? Or Allie, unmute yourselves, you guys. You're muted. Somebody.
I think it's terrible. They just had a death. 2 weeks ago?
I believe so.
2 weeks ago, a man that was in there for murder. I don't know.
Two deaths actually, because we've gotten reports from 2 different inmates that gave us a death in the same housing unit. It was in housing unit 4, which is solitary, which is really bad because not only is it coincidental, but we don't know anything about the inmate from 3 days after the first one was reported by KTVN Channel 2, that told us about the initial death. And we believe that the reason why KTVN reported it was because of the information we were receiving about the fentanyl distribution and some of the issues that were reported from inmates that were talking about being reprimanded when they should have been rewarded, but instead were denied or were punished for reporting it. That they were seeing this fentanyl distribution from other inmates taking place. They reported it to the deputies, and the deputies punished them instead of rewarding them for what should have been good behavior. And that is a big red light. That's a big red light. But this second death was reported by two separate individuals that I know. I'm not gonna identify them. And Anne Marie and I were talking about it a lot, and we came to the conclusion, hey, Nevada revised statute has, under chapter 172, provides the impetus for a grand jury to investigate circumstances in any jail that's not being adhered to under law. And it can involve the commissioners, it can involve the legislators, the assembly, the state senate, whatever. And we brought this to the attention of the commissioners and the assembly, and not a word. NRS 172.175, and it's called matters into which a grand jury shall and may inquire. Each grand jury that is not impaneled for a specific limited purpose shall inquire into the case of every person imprisoned in the jail of the county on a criminal charge against whom an indictment has been found or an information or a complaint filed. B doesn't apply, but it says, because it has to do with prisons, the complaint and management of any public prison located within the county. And C, the misconduct in office of public officers of every description within the county, which may constitute a violation of provision of Chapter 197 of NRS.
Matt, if you will, what was the case law you referenced earlier when we spoke on the group call, so I can bring it up on the screen share?
On the group call,
the one about something. It was something versus. It was in it was a Nevada one when we were talking. When I was referencing, what was it? I was referencing
The Rebecca Schultz case.
I was referencing Estelle versus Gamble, and you gave me a better one. Remember?
The Rebecca Schultz case.
I believe so.
I don't off the top know what.
It's all right. No worries.
Yeah.
You referenced it on the phone. I could recall what it was, but that was
The Rebecca Schultz case out of Vegas. Steven.
Yeah, Rebecca Schultz
case. Yeah, the Rebecca Schultz case.
Well, that case is important for a number of reasons, and Stuart and I know a great deal about that, and it really is a roadmap and a blueprint to everything that's happened to Roger, and it's going to come up. But it was a case about a woman whose parents left the state of California to live in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay.
Several years ago, and they were approached by someone in real estate, I believe, or something to that extent, and they could get a better price for their property, and they showed them this paperwork, and they were considering it, and they were going through a great deal of turmoil. The wife was not in good health at the time, and I don't know whether the wife or the husband signed off on some paperwork that they shouldn't have, but they literally engaged themselves with a very, very bad actor in Clark County, and it was a probate guardianship.
Okay.
They signed off on something that they shouldn't have, and put themselves into a circumstance of probate guardianship. The wife died. The husband literally was taken over by the court and was literally incarcerated in his own home. And really very unusual set of circumstances. It's surprising that they didn't try.
Is this from like 2014-ish?
Yes.
Okay, I got an article on it right here. I'm going to bring it up.
Yeah. Stephen Miller wrote a really important story about it, and
this one I'm not sure who wrote this one, but this is what I found out. There's others I'll bring up here in a minute too, but I wanted to make sure I had the right thing.
But essentially, this gentleman was under house arrest after his wife died. They incarcerated him in his own home. This Jared Schaefer, who was the probate guardian, is the equivalent of April Parks. and I know you know who April Parks is.
Yes, I'm very familiar with that.
Really, really a
person.
bad actor. And that guy still survives. How he survives, I don't know. But essentially, the wife dies. Mr. Oliveras is on his own, and his wife, his daughter, pardon me, Rebecca, is trying to deal with his circumstances long distance from California.
Okay.
And it goes from bad to worse. Essentially, it forces her to go through the court, and there were a number of appeals. She was unsuccessful, and it resulted or culminated in her going into his home in the dark of night and stealing him away from his domicile in Las Vegas and taking him back to California to live happily ever after with his children in California.
Okay.
So here we go. I mean,
it's very similar in a lot of ways to Roger's case, but
different. And he, it was a roadmap, and essentially the case didn't end in her imprisonment. It didn't end in the state of California going after her, or the state of Nevada. Ultimately, it ended civilly because they had no jurisdiction. They had no right to promulgate what they did against her father, let alone her mother. And then when she moved him back to the state of California, he lived out the rest of his life happily. So that's a very, very
that's a huge red flag.
Yeah,
for this case.
And there's a lot to that case, but it really is an important one.
That's established precedent right there. We could reference
that preceded what happened to Rod.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Indeed.
So getting back to this grand jury with respect to bad jails and prisons, the state gives the constituents the right to force the government to investigate. I just read you NRS 172.175, but under the next one, grand jury entitled to enter jails and examine records. The grand jury shall be entitled to free access at all reasonable times to all public prisons and to the examination without charge of all public records within its district. So what we did is essentially, Stephen, several weeks ago, we appealed to the commissioners and said, please open up your gates. Let's throw some sunshine in there and let's fix the problem. Well, we didn't get any responses, at least none to my knowledge. Oh, wow. And it went deaf. But under Nevada law, Nevada is one of 6 states that allows the constituents to take over when the current government refuses to act.
That's one of the things I love about this.
It's a beautiful state in that respect.
It is it not? Most people don't know that.
Because there aren't voices out there. There aren't angry voices that are saying, hey, you know what? We got a problem. If you spit on the sidewalk.
They only knew how powerful we could be if they knew that existed. See, most people don't realize
and go, blast that farm.
We have that right, people.
Yeah. You have what only 6 other states have in the union, and that's an important feature. That's powerful. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but I'll tell you what: if you engage your constituents and their fellow victims that can step forward and tell their stories and say, "Hey, this is a bad place. We've got people that we can't even identify in here. It's a fire safety hazard." And Anne Marie can speak more to that. That was an important watershed that happened last summer.
Go ahead, Anne Marie, if you'd like.
Yeah.
So we had been getting reports that there was overcrowding at the Washoe County Jail, that they were putting up to 4 men in a little cell that I would imagine. I don't know, because we actually requested the occupancy certificate and they actually don't have one. And so then we put in a request with the fire marshal to get the records of their inspections of the jail, and it turned out in these documents that they sent us, there was an email from the deputy at the Washoe County Jail who was actually in charge of fire safety, and the email indicated that they were concerned about the increasing capacity at the jail. They weren't really sure what the capacity is, and that it could be more or less they implicated how it could and is a dangerous situation in this email. And to this date, I have not been provided with an occupancy certificate, nor has the fire marshal been able to tell me the regulations, because when he went to provide that information, he also actually wasn't sure where he would get it, and didn't know who had it. He ended up saying they were reaching out to the city of Reno, but to this date, never got that. So it appears they actually don't have one.
Angie, what is that you sent me? You sent in the chat. I'm happy to appear on
I
the
think this
screen.
answers her question a little bit. This is a
Okay.
report they did in 2017 at that jail about the mental health and the mental care unit. So this is their report that they came back with.
Okay. And this is as of 2017-ish?
Yeah, they're saying there was
Okay.
a little over 1,000, 1,300 beds in this place.
Okay.
And this is in 2017, 2016. So,
Right. But you can
I
imagine
would
how much worse
imagine
it's
there's probably
gotten.
more inmates now.
Right, right.
Oh, absolutely, especially given the current DA, Chris Hicks, has recently changed his plea agreement policy that the person has to plead out to the most severe of the charges that they've been charged with to get a plea agreement. And so there's people obviously who are like, hey, that's not cool with me. I'm not going to do that. So they're going to sit up and be tortured at the Washoe County Jail now, and
Go
await
ahead,
their
Stu.
day in court and their
Expand
trial.
on that whenever she's done. Go ahead. Sorry, Anne Marie. I'll just let him know. I wanted him to expound when you're done. Go ahead.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, that's all I was really saying is, yeah, that plea policy also is a policy that is increasing the people who are being detained at the Washoe County Jail, and for a more significant period of time, because he is forcing people, if you want a plea deal now, you have to plead out to the most severe of the charges if you've been charged with multiple charges to get a plea deal. So
No, and
That's cool.
it's all malevolent coercion. I mean, of the worst kind. And essentially the inmates are fed up. They're saying, hey, you know what? We're not getting any justice here. We want to take our case to trial because we know we're getting screwed.
Right. It's deliberate case fixing, right? They're case fixing, and then where does this money go? And
That's
where
what it
does
looks like to me. That's
yeah,
what it
where
looks
does
like to me.
right?
But
Where does
getting back to what Anne Marie was talking about with the jail and the occupancy being a fire safety hazard. We've been after this for several months, Stephen, and we went, like I said, we went to the state legislators and the assembly and the commissioners multiple times in December. And just on a whim, in addition to the grand jury information I provided under Chapter 172 of the NRS, which is, for anybody that's interested, proceedings after commitment and, let's see, powers and duties of the grand jury. And that's Chapter 172, proceedings after commitment and before indictment. We went to the legislators and offered an example of a sheriff's department in Navajo country in Arizona that provide a consolidated list of all of the inmates at any given time. And anybody that visits their website, the sheriff's website, knows exactly the location of the inmate, the date they're processed in there, what their booking number is, and they can verify, that their loved one or their friend is there and for how long. and essentially I offered it to the legislators and the county commissioners in Washoe. I say, why can't you do something like this? I said, we desperately need transparency. I said, you've got hundreds of inmates in there that are indigent, some of them, and have mental handicaps, which have been reported to us. And I said, nobody knows they exist in there. And why are they in a jail?
Right.
What was their crime?
I'm gonna let Stu expound on this a little more. He wants to go back and all the way up to the late '90s. You said, go ahead, Stu. Fill in the blanks for us.
Back in the late '90s, when I was still a state trooper in the Nevada Highway Patrol, there was a memorandum that came out that basically stated if you pull someone over for driving on a suspended license, which is a bookable offense, or revoke license in the revocation period, which is a bookable offense, or anything that's a bookable offense that is not a major crime, we were to cite and release. And that included people who had bench warrants. So, for instance, if I stopped someone, ran them through the computer system, came up with a warrant, misdemeanor warrant for the rest, we were told to issue a citation to them for them to appear on already in a warrant in a situation where they've already failed to appear. And so I spoke up. I go, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you issue a citation on a guy who had a warrant out for arrest for he failed to appear in a citation to give him another opportunity to fail to appear in another citation? Well, it's because the jail is overcrowded. Now we're talking. This is the late '90s. Okay, the jail opened in, I believe, 1996, if I'm not mistaken, Matt, and that was under Sheriff Kirkland. Now they were overcrowded within a year and a half out tops, and I'm like, okay. So basically, you're telling us to disregard state laws is the powers given to us if we stop people and issue them a traffic citation for something that's a bookable offense. Well, that's what the sheriff is recommending. Well, at that point in time, we're like, okay, so basically the sheriff's department's telling the highway patrol how to do our job. So at least the guys on swing shift says, well, we'll fix their little red wagon. And every person we stop, suspend a license, book them. Anything, three or more traffic violations, book them. And we be bringing up people left and right. And, we start getting problems from the supervisory ranks on down. Say, well, obviously you're not listening to Membo. I go, well, if that's going to be the case, can you please, Lieutenant and Captain, it wasn't just me, it was other people too. Can you put that in writing, telling us what to do? Well, they wouldn't do it. See, they want to put it in writing. It was a very direct suggestion for us to do that. And we basically said, fuck you, pretty much, fuck you. We're going to do our job and we're going to do it the way we're going to do it. And of course, that put a little bit more of a rebel rouser target on my back. And at that point in time, I wasn't president of the union then. But I'm like, hey, it's not our fault that the jail wasn't built properly and they're already overcrowded. Maybe you should start letting some of these people out. But see, like Matt alluded to, and Allie and Anne-Marie and Angela, it's all about the money. Follow the money. It's the money train. They keep people in jail. It's money. Money here, money there. When you got a fentanyl ring running inside a jail facility, which is absurd and criminal on many levels. We haven't even added in the fact about the human sex trafficking ring, which is being run through the CARES facility, which is an offshoot of the detention facility. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, if you want corruption, just come to Reno. We got plenty here. Double helping, triple helping. How much more do you want? Bring it all. Bring your biggest plate because we got lots for everybody. And again, only because I've lived here 49 years and now facing what I'm facing. And again, we can get into that in another discussion or another topic. But tonight, I want to re-go back to what I just said.
Go ahead.
That jail was overcrowded in the late 90s. What has changed since then to present day? I'll tell you what's changed. Administrations. That's it.
So, Ali, I want to share something that you came across here and tell our viewers what your suspicion is with this. The QSIP.
Well, I just kind of have, I don't know, I haven't really dug into the research, but I'm thinking, so they conjure up these fake cases. I mean, I've seen this before, not just Roger and Stewart's case. I mean, they have like Tony Viola. He has a free Tony Viola website here in Cleveland, he was in jail for 10 years. So basically, long story short is they go around, they target people, give them these false allegations, have all these fake hearings. And who's paying for these hearings? The taxpayers. Where does the money go from the hearings, the tax dollars? What do they put in this CUSIP off?
Oh, we lost her. Oh, there she is.
Okay.
Go ahead, Al. You cut out there for a minute. They kicked you off. I think for a minute there, you cut out.
I got booted.
You got booted. Yeah,
I got
they're
booted.
they're messing with you. You're back. Go ahead.
I'm gonna call
Go
it
back
a
like
Q-tip.
15, 20 seconds.
I'll call it a Q-tip. Anyway, so where does the money go from all these fake hearings? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you fine,
Okay.
Allie. Go ahead.
All right, good. Okay, so are they putting the money from these hearings into the stock market? Because as you can see, that what I sent you is Stewart's CUSIP file, and there's a stock market, a code, a symbol that you can look it up, and there's money in there. You can see it. So where's the money coming from? And I saw a video the other day from the Utah governor, and he was saying that they want us to kill ourselves over this stuff because all that money is going to go to them if we're dead. Somebody's getting the money. We need to dig into that. Like, where's all this money coming from? Like, all the taxpayer dollars,
Well,
the CUSIP. How is it all
occurs to
intertwined?
me, because I've heard this as well with that they're trading our bonds on the stock market, our birth certificates and all that. It seems to me this is very close to that in a lot of regards.
Right. It's either close to it or it isn't. And
right, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
But their case numbers.
Is this the same case number that's for his case?
Yeah, look at it. It's the case. Yeah,
it's 19-15358. What?
Yes, right.
That is the strangest thing.
And Roger had submitted a motion on the docket on the 3rd of January, and he says his CUSIP number is the 1535A.
Read how much money this is for our viewers.
Just holy so shit, Allie. Good find. Wow.
Well, that was from someone else, like not from me. It was just I'm sharing.
It's 1.274 $1,274,058,000. That's my CUSIP file.
B with a billion. That's
B with a billion,
folks. It's a lot of money.
They've
been targeting Stewart for a long time.
Yeah.
Could that be their motive?
Yeah. You think? To kill me?
Seems to me.
To kill Roger?
Seems to me.
Rogers is a lot. I guarantee you, Rogers is a lot more than mine. There's a gentleman here in Reno who's gone through the federal system. His name's William Neidiger. He's currently facing in federal court a federal prison sentence for using a false identity, which he explained to me and which made perfect sense. His CUSIP file stands at $88 billion with a B.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Billion.
My question is, this is your file, your number, under your name. So why can't you cash it in somewhere? I mean, why?
Quick question for you for Stewart's information. Is that a collective over all of his court circumstances over just the last few years or a longer period? Where's all those numbers getting generated?
Right, because that's an awful lot.
Yeah, I think it's been going on for him since didn't that go back to 98 or something like that, Stuart? Wasn't it?
Yes, Allie. It went back many years. That's not over the last.
So essentially, is every time you hit the button and you go to court, civil or criminal, that you're being securitized,
And
you're being
amortized, correct.
packaged as a
Oh
as a
my God, we're
commodity.
commodities to these
Yeah,
bastards.
on a
Exactly.
Holy shit, we're
yeah,
freaking
as
commodities to
security
these bastards.
in the open market.
Yes,
Mhm.
we're being traded on the New York Stock
Whoa.
Exchange. My case is.
That's a huge
Correct.
freaking aha moment.
Mhm.
What do you say to that, Dottie? That's incredible, isn't it? Holy shit.
Yeah, I've known this
It's
for a while. It's sick.
it's criminal.
It is very criminal. That's why I
It's
said, how come we
beyond
haven't done
criminal.
anything yet? Like, why are we still playing this game?
So that goes back to that one. We had a Zoom hearing with someone, and they basically were talking about so these people are posing as us, so we could take back our identity. Like this is kind of like, through the IRS with
Interesting.
there's a couple
Interesting.
documents. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a way to do it, but they flood
Mhm.
it with so many lies, so you can't, to figure it out. You have
Oh,
to be
that's how they get
careful.
away with it. Okay,
Mhm.
I see how they're operating. Yeah, okay, I can see that. Mm,
So
Why do you think?
so much
Why do you think they want
information.
us dead? Why do you
of
think they want
course,
Roger dead?
of
Why do you
course.
think they want me dead? I wonder what Susan Hillygus' CUSIP file was worth.
Oh my God, I
Yeah,
can only imagine.
they'll
I
like
wonder what.
suck us dry, prolong our lives like as awful as possible, whichever way they make money. You know what I mean? Like, and then they just collect on you when you die. They get big
Mhm.
collections for that.
Murder for hire.
They don't make it nice while you're here, They target
No.
people like Roger and do the things that they're doing to him. Like, how long has that man been in isolation?
Matt, how long now?
Approximately 4 weeks now.
Yeah. Can you imagine being in isolation for 4 weeks nonstop?
I
And
was.
You know what that does to your
why
mental,
he's
like,
in there, Dottie?
Disgusting.
No, he's in there because he
he talks.
essentially it's the grievances. He's getting written up for too many grievances.
Oh, I want to point something out
And then
really quick. Go ahead, Matt.
he's complaining about his health circumstances, and his write-ups are about his health circumstances and not being able to access law information, which they're deliberately denying him less than 2.5 weeks to a trial for his life.
Yeah, yeah. And what was his crime again? He did what?
Rescuing his mother
Exactly.
from uncertain death.
Exactly. That has passed
Certain death,
already.
pardon me. Yep.
I mean, the woman's not even alive, and he still hasn't gone to like they've prolonged
How are
this.
they going to justify if something happens to him?
Well, who is his accuser? Let's just go to some basic law stuff. Like,
Not only that, Dodie, but
Exactly.
Can everybody see my screen here?
He's not only the child of two parents that wanted him to be to protect their finances and their medical health when they got infirm.
So I want to
I
point
see
something
the
out
screen. Yeah.
here real
Go
quick
ahead,
that
Steven.
we touched on just briefly with the CUSIP a little bit ago, but I want to point this out because this is important. If you look right here on this screenshot that we showed relating your case with the money number, the 1,274,000,000, 58,000 whatever number, it says right underneath your name, American Century California High Yield Municipal Fund. Now, if you go to this link that was sent with this email, you'll see that American Century California High Yield Municipal Fund A is being traded on the NASDAQ.
yeah.
So there you
they're
go.
doing this
As of
stuff
January,
early.
at close as of January 5th, which is yesterday.
So my case is
Yeah,
being
that's
traded
why
on the
I
stock
said it's
market.
being securitized. Our cases,
Exactly. But
our
there's your
civil
proof, folks.
criminal
There's your
cases
proof right there. There's your
are
proof.
being securitized as a commodity for trading on
There's
the
your
open
proof.
exchanges.
There it is. Right there. Right in our faces the whole time.
I would like to call that company and ask them about
As would many of us, I would imagine.
this. That would be interesting to hear what they have to say. Like,
Yeah. Would be, wouldn't it?
I mean, I'm not real versed on the stock market, but there's got to be like, is there history on there of,
Well, this
you
is
know,
what came up in the link that you sent that you forwarded that from that email you forwarded me with that screenshot. So
right, right. So see what it says, historical data. What's under that
let's see.
tab?
Just going to it right now. Historical data. Let's see what it comes up here. Give it a second, folks. Chrome likes to lag on me. I hate using Chrome, but sometimes you're forced to. Certain stuff doesn't want to open without Chrome, which is stupid, but whatever. Anyways, here we go. What do you make of this, Allie?
I'm just looking at it like, how far does it go down to?
Goes down. I would imagine at least all the way back to 2003 from that screenshot, but probably further back. Yeah, that's gonna go quite a ways.
I think this is where it shows.
It only goes for this year. It only shows
here.
this last year. I think we have
Okay.
to go and scroll more for. Hold on. I'm not sure. I only think it shows it goes as far as this last year on this one. Maybe there's more, but I'm not sure.
I would just love to see like when they have a hearing, they have tax dollars that are paying for the judge, the bailiff, the this, that. I would imagine, right? I mean,
I would imagine. I would imagine that's how they're paying the public officials to some degree. I mean, that would make sense. But I mean, at the same time, the numbers just of like that's insane. That much for each individual person? No. That's total freaking case fixing right there. That's a motive. That's a motive.
Right.
To case fix.
Definitely.
Holy shit, man. That is whoa. Anyways, well, there you have it, folks.
Like considered like a system, RICO, like the whole damn system.
I would imagine so when it's this out in the open. I mean, I don't know how else to interpret that. Do you?
Like, like the whole damn system. We bring RICO.
I don't know how else to interpret that. Do you, Dottie, Allie, Anne Marie, Stu, Matt?
Well, when we're being sold as commodities, that's human ownership right there.
Exactly. Right? We're debt slaves. But even more so,
we're more than that.
But that's our money.
And I know that's we're paying for we're paying for the privilege of being slaves in our own country.
Steven,
how about that?
Steven, it's more than
How
that.
You like them apples?
I like apples. We're targets. That's what we are.
That's exactly what we are. Yeah.
The more involved in the court system and the legal system we are, the more the money is accrued, the more the cases is exchanged on the New York Stock Exchange.
There's your prison pipeline right there.
And do you think now there's maybe a personal motivation to kill Roger and I? I believe so.
It would sure seem so.
Yeah. And
it would sure seem so.
And you wonder why people just all of a sudden, oh, so-and-so just got killed or so-and-so died. God, mysterious death. He just choked on something or, it's amazing that people just don't see the truth of this government that's running this country. It's like the fucking wheels have fallen off the goddamn.
No, they have fallen off. Oh my God, dude, it's insane. You got people freaking. I mean, I just don't understand how some people just are so. They are stuck in tunnel vision. They just don't see it. Either they choose not to, or they're unwilling to, or they can't face the reality or the gravity of it and just choose to remain in denial, or whether they really believe it, what they're saying. It just. But it's sad to see our country, our planet in such a state of disarray.
They've hurt and killed people that are on this call tonight.
They have.
They killed Matt's dad. They killed Ali's fiance. They killed Anne Marie's brother. They've hurt Angela. They've hurt you, right? That's correct. Am I wrong?
That's Steven's mom.
Steven's mom.
Yeah, we've all been touched by it. All of us.
And here's the bottom line, folks. It is the epic struggle that began a long time ago when a certain person took a bite of an apple that she should not have taken.
Right.
And it's good versus evil. And why they've gone after Roger
Man,
Well, because Rogers' actions precipitated the removal of a district judge, and that's a big deal. Remember this: the only federal judge ever impeached from the bench and removed from the bench, federal, was from the great state of Nevada, be Harry Claiborne, who had the privilege of writing a traffic citation too many years ago, by the way. And that should set the tone right there. Matt brought up Rebecca Schultz. The only difference between Rebecca Schultz's case and Roger Hilligus's case is the gender difference and the location. Roger's mother
Well,
was
there's
in
got to be
Reno.
more to it though, because Roger's parents were targeted years before. Remember, they
But yeah,
took the
correct.
money. They got the money from the dad. I mean, it started like 2010, 11, somewhere around in there, with these properties that the
yeah,
daughter
about
was buying.
probably even earlier than that. I would imagine from the Idaho properties. I think.
Right.
I
So
I think going back to 2005, if I'm not mistaken.
But I also think, to your points, Allie and Stephen, the timing was critical. We're talking about Rebecca Schultz, that case being strikingly similar. You had Rick Black and Billy Mintz do that documentary 7 months before Roger's Date with Destiny. And you have to remember that Roger was in the crosshairs by virtue of what he exposed. He was successful in getting a judge to step down in order to mask or keep from being revealed the fraud in the Second Judicial District Court under Judge Doherty.
Matt, were you able to get a judge recused in your case?
No.
Okay, I was. So wasn't that Scott Freeman recused? Stewart?
Scott Freeman? No, that was Judge Doherty was the one that.
No.
Okay,
Scott
Doherty, but there was also another one that
civil case. Yes, Allie, you're correct. A civil case involving Roger and I. Scott Freeman was the initial judge. He recused himself and went to Egan Walker. That's the judge who peed in my friend's coffee cup when he was the deputy district attorney. Had to throw that in there just because I hate this son of a bitch. And also, we had a judge recuse herself from a criminal case at the beginning. That was Kathy Draculich, another judge in Second Judicial District Court, which is the corrupt court of Nevada. I'm sure there's others across this country, but this is the one we're dealing with right now.
So it's a retaliation, of course, too. I mean, there's just so many. They just never stop.
Well, it's obvious, pretty obvious what they're doing.
When you take on the Black Robe Mafia, and you force a judge to retire early because you're exposing her, and Roger said it. If there was a properly written writ of coram nobis for his case, they would have to go back, bring up all of Judge Doherty's cases in probate with respect to probate guardianship, and that would open up a huge can of worms.
But on top of which, Breslow too, he's not even seated properly. He doesn't have an oath or a bond that's valid. So imagine all the cases he was involved in.
Exactly. It would throw all of those into question. Yes, it would throw all of those into question, wouldn't it?
Yep.
So, Stu, do you want to just briefly touch on a little bit of your whistleblowing history? Just briefly, not too much, but just a little bit to drop some really good nuggets there.
Okay. My whistleblower activity goes back to the year 2000. Actually, I take it back to late 1999. I was vice president of the Highway Pro Association. I eventually became president right around the same time things started to unfold. We had a gentleman by the name of Richard Kirkland who came into power as the director of the Department of Public Safety. This is the same Richard Kirkland who was the former chief of the Reno Police Department and also the former sheriff of Washoe County Sheriff's Office, who was the biggest criminal. Well, I take that back. Him and neck with Antonaro, who covered up a homicide, who I believe participated in a homicide as the sheriff in Story County. We'll save that for another day. Mr. Kirkland began to come into power in transitional meetings at a place called Western Nevada Supply Company, was run by the Revilio brothers, who were convicted felons for income tax evasion we didn't know about. There's a big rule with cops and convicted felons or known felons. You can be fired immediately if you're known to be associating with convicted felons and or ex-felons. So the train speech, first day of as official director, there's a train coming through town, and I was the only trooper in the room at the time the speech went down, by the way. There's a train coming through town. The smart ones will get on it. The foolish ones will watch it go by. And the insane ones will try and stop it, and verbatim, and I will run you the fuck over. I go, oh, it's a direct threat. I'd been apprised of some interesting information prior to that speech. As time went by and things started to unfold, evidence began to surface of misappropriation of state equipment, state of funds, federal equipment, federal funds. The state funds being that Sheriff Balaam, not Darren, but Dennis, was running the helicopter, the Raven helicopter, which flies up here pretty much every night now because son Darren flies it because he's got a hard on for it. I don't know. It's a Huey helicopter, very notorious for mechanical breakdowns. Well, Kirkland was able to skewer money through his budget to keep the helicopter running. Well, Dennis Balaam wasn't as conniving as Kirkland was, who took over after Kirkland left the sheriff's office because Kirkland became the director of the Department of Public Safety, which in Nevada Highway Patrol was an agency underneath that umbrella. So the money that was spent to fix the helicopter when Raven broke down and had a major mechanical issue came out of the state budget. And this is what caught Kirkland. Kirkland was basically using state funds to buy the brand new parts for the Raven helicopter, take the old parts, put them back in a state surplus, and recategorize them, renumber it, so that the helicopter parts would come up as different stuff. The only saving grace we did was that we blew the whistle on Kirkland. We were able to get the Inspector General's office out of Washington, D.C. to come out to Nevada. Inspector General Dwayne Bradley compiled a report, presented it to Governor Gwynn and Attorney General Brian Sandoval, now the current president of the University of Nevada, Reno, former governor of the state of Nevada, former federal judge Brian Sandoval. Basically said, you fire Kirkland or I'm coming after him with an indictment tomorrow. I'm going to name you both as co-conspirators, that being Governor Gwynn and Attorney General Sandoval. Kirkland was fired within a matter of hours of that little meeting. So you think Kirkland didn't have a hard on for me because I'm the one who basically was able to bring Inspector General Bradley out here to the state of Nevada? I believe so. Kirkland's connected to Dick Gammack. Dick Gammack connected
not
to
only
Larry Hicks.
Not only do you believe so, but everybody else listening to this believes so too.
Yeah, Matt. It's unbelievable story, and it goes on and on and on. But I want to get to the main players. We mentioned Brian Sandoval, correct, Stephen? Yes.
That indeed we did, yes.
So Brian Sandoval appointed Judge Barry Breslow to the bench to fill the unexpired term of Lydia Stiglitz, who went to the Nevada Supreme Court after she won an election there. In turn, Judge Barry Breslow bought Brian Sandoval's house as a quid pro quo, or at least a conflict of interest, when Brian Sandoval was divorcing his wife because she was skipping around town with everything I had a skirt on. Sorry, Brian. Hate to be the bearer of bad news and expose you, but I just did. That being said, there is the big enchilada right there. You have a sitting district judge who's sitting on our criminal case, who was appointed to the bench by Brian Sandoval. And Brian Sandoval knows that I know about a lot of this stuff. He's probably afraid to come in contact with me in any point in time in Reno, because I'm going to ask him some pretty point blank questions about about when he covered up two of his wife's DUI hit and run crashes in Carson City when he was the governor. And that'd be Jim Wright, who was the director of the Department of Public Safety at the time after Kirkland left, who covered up those crashes. See, I'm starting to point out names and places because I'm sick and tired of this. They're exacerbating this criminal case upon us, and it's illegal. And Barry Breslow knows this. And Barry Breslow is going to be brought on the front burner. And Barry Breslow should be made aware that we know that you bought Brian Sandoval's house and Brian Sandoval put you to the bench. The public doesn't know that, but they're going to find out real soon about the quid pro quo and the conflict of interest at the very minimum. How about we get into the MERS real estate, which is going to tie in Judge Scott Freeman, who apparently owns about 57 or 58 properties throughout the state of California as a district judge? Doesn't that sound a little fishy? How many properties do you own, Mr. Breslow? How about your properties, Chief Judge Lynn Simons? How about your properties, Judge Egan Walker? How about your properties, Judge Kathy Dracklins, and so forth and so on, and down the list we go. David Hardy will throw you.
By the way, do you know that Chief Judge Simons is now Chief Lynn K. Jones? You need to make sure you change that.
I'm sorry, Lynn K.
been-
Jones, who,
Yeah.
by the way, just threatened a friend of mine for his association with me. Isn't that funny? You think you're going to back me down, folks? No, I'm just getting warmed up. So I know all this stuff, and that's why I'm the liability, and that's why they want my money, and that's why they want Roger's money. I guarantee you, Roger's Houston files way more than mine is. Guarantee you, his is probably into the 20-30 billion dollar mark. So we have they're all connected. It's the connected dots. It's the Richard Kirkland to the Richard Gammack, the Richard Gammack to the Adam Laxalt. There's another little guy who's a traitor. His real name is not Laxalt, it's Dimincini, because his mother had sex with a married congressman by the name of Pete Dimincini out of New Mexico, and Adam Laxalt was the byproduct of that. He's a bastard. Plus, he falsified his attorney general application because he failed to note that when he's a juvenile, he got arrested for assaulting a police officer in your state, Matt, of Virginia. And he didn't disclose that on there, which should have disqualified him to be the attorney general for the state of Nevada. But then again, corruption runs rampant in the state, and it is. And I know all this stuff. And I'm pulling names out tonight because they need to be mentioned. They need to be put on Front Street, Stephen. And I'm sick and tired of this garbage. And on we go. And on we go.
Agreed. I'm just sending you the links to this live so you can share it out as much as you want. Share it to everybody and anybody you can.
I've had it. My friend is dying in jail tonight. Our friend. Let's get everybody on stage here. Anne-Marie, Angela, Allie, of course, Matt, Stephen, everybody listening tonight. Roger Hillygus did not do anything wrong. We have corrupt cops here that falsify police reports. We have a corrupt district attorney who's falsified court documents. We have corrupt judges who've rubber stamped everything that's coming out of that district attorney's office. Why? To destroy our lives. Roger's lost both of his parents. He's lost his marriage. He's lost his animals. He's lost his personal property. He's lost his friends. I don't think he ever had a relationship with his devil of a sister. She's the Antichrist, okay? And that's Roger. I've lost my marriage. I've lost my house. I've lost a relationship, tenuous at best, with my daughter. I lost my kids. I've lost personal property, my kids being my pets. And if you don't think that bears on what I'm saying tonight to everybody out there listening, especially to my family that's listening on this podcast, you better fucking pay attention. You better fucking understand that I'm coming and I'm not stopping. I may have been knocked down, but I'm back up now and I'm not stopping. And we're going to expose this one way or the other. We're going to take you people down, and I hope you're listening.
Damn right we are. Damn right we are.
Everybody
We
here.
have to. We have to.
I hope you understand that. I've been
We
knocked
have
down.
to, because I tell you what, Stu, when they can do those things that you just itemized to you and Roger, and they're doing it to the rest of us, we don't have anything to look forward to. We might as well
They can do it to him, and they can do it to Roger, and they can do it to Angie. They can do it to any one of us.
We might as well either check out voluntarily on our own, or stand on our own 2 feet and
Live on your feet or die on your knees.
put these people in jail and prison for life.
I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees.
What'd you say, Dottie?
To live on your feet than die on your knees. But another thing is, we're duty bound to this. We owe this.
We are.
To
we really are.
Families, our next generations, to the people that have gone before us. Like, we are duty bound. We don't have a choice.
No.
And if we don't do this, there's not going to be any future generations.
It is about
this is our duty to do this.
Yeah.
Like, there you can't.
Absolutely, it's our duty.
for posterity.
Yep.
There's a great
For
line.
humanity.
Yeah. And Allie just, there's a little incident. I mean, she's gone through the ringer with her judges there that have stolen money after she had to take care of her beloved ex-fiance, whose birthday was just yesterday. And Allie, if you want to comment on that, they stole money from her, and they're just evil. It's good versus evil. And I will end this, and I will get off my soapbox because I'm getting pretty upset. There's a great line from a favorite movie of mine: "Get busy living or get busy dying." It's a simple choice, and if we have to die to live, so be it. I'm ready. and we will fight till the nth last batch of air expels from our lungs, or the last ounce of blood comes out of our veins and our arteries, and
Damn
we'll
right we
die in the
will.
streets, but we'll die with a purpose if we have to. I don't want to die. I'm not a martyr.
And we'll die with honor if we have to.
We will, exactly what Dottie said. We'll die on our feet, not on our knees. And with that, Allie, if you want to talk about your situation, I know it may be a little bit personal to you, but you know what? This is what they've done to people. They've hurt and killed people.
Need to know what
and they need to know
done.
what's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, we're all victims. It's a lot of the same stories, but with just different people, in my opinion. I mean, we've all been robbed. We've all had loved ones kidnapped, and they're suffering at the hands of our courts, period. That's all this is. And it's lies, deceit, murder, theft, robbery. I mean, all the heinous crimes you can think of against human beings. So we have to fight.
And you know,
they're disgusting.
You hit the nail on the head. It's the weaponization of courts, hon. And now you see in black and white, just my file. I guarantee you Rogers is more. Why do they want us dead? Well, first of all, we can't keep our mouth shut because we were speaking about the criminality of these corrupt people who hold power and authority, whether it's in Trumbull County, Ohio, whether it's in your neck of the woods.
We won't have a place. We won't have a place if we keep our mouths shut.
Yeah, but you
much.
see
exactly.
They're out to destroy us.
Yeah, you see the money. It's all about the money. Ali,
yeah, how can we? How can we?
About the money. I want my money.
Yeah, I want. Yeah, we want our money back because.
Well, here's the best part about that, Stu. You want your money. Everything in our economy is printed paper with a slogan on it that essentially
it's paper with pictures on it. That's all it comes down to is paper with pictures on it.
Full faith and credit
Monopoly.
of the United States government. That's all that your money
is. It's monopoly money.
It is one continuous IOU in the trillion figures, and we are paying for wars. We are indebting our children's with it.
It's
and
unbelievable.
We don't back our money with anything.
We don't. We really don't.
We can't keep this game up any longer, and that's
why unsustainable.
And that's why we have a gun at everybody else's head.
Oh, but we do back our money with something. We back our money with our energy.
With our sweat and
money
labor.
Money is not real, but our energy is real, and people need to realize what's going on here. This is about energy. Our money is our energy, and that's why we're being traded on the stock market, because we are the money.
Our life force. Oh wow, that never thought about it like that. But you're right, Dottie. That is true.
Mm-hmm. True.
Let me add.
That is what is going on here. We are energy. This whole world is energy. Our perception, our making of it. And they have us tricked into thinking that we are something that we are not. And we are creating this world that doesn't fit for who we are. Not true humans with souls.
We've been tricked.
Not the ones with souls. Yes, we've been tricked. We've been deceived, and we've been tortured. This is sick. And more people need to wake up to what is really going on.
And I know most of you aren't old enough to remember when George Herbert Walker Bush uttered the words "New World Order."
Oh, I'm old enough to remember that.
You remember that?
So am I.
I was 7 years old.
I remember how
New World. It is what's going on.
I remember how confused I was when I heard that, and I said to myself, "What the hell did he just say?" And in what context? Because again, it was so abbreviated and it was so ambiguous
and off the cuff.
I just basically feathered together the details myself and said, "Oh, he's talking about our Constitution, our freedoms that nobody else in the world has. Rah America. We're the best." And you know what? No. I drank that Kool-Aid, Stu. Yeah. I mean, I did. I believe that.
So I never really thought about it until I got into adulthood. But by the time I got into adulthood, I had already gotten into that information and was like, okay, something's not right here. But I had started digging early on for me. And so by the time I started thinking about that, it kind of fit in its place already for me.
Well, Stephen, think about this. Matt, you just said it. President Bush, who actually was in Dealey Plaza on 11/22/63.
And who was he the director of also that's famously known for
and-
inventing the term conspiracy theorist?
Yeah, and also remember who President Kennedy was going to shut down the corporation that Prescott Bush ran. And of course, Prescott Bush being one of the main founders, or I mean, the money people behind the Nazi Party. Well, guess what happened to President Kennedy? Good night, Irene. So if people don't think that this government is corrupt and evil, well, you've already seen it. Now it's starting to expose a little bit more with the Clintons and the Obamas, or Soteros. That's the real name, Sotero. And the Clintons and the Soteros and the Bushes, they're all in bed together.
They're all
conspiring together.
globalists, folks. It's not left versus right. They've got us all tricked into thinking that's what it is. But what we're really facing here is a bunch of freaking anti-American, anti-patriotic.
They give you the
traitors
illusion.
and globalists.
They give you the
And a lot of them are Nazis, and some of them are communists as well.
They give you the illusion of difference between the parties, but there isn't any difference. There isn't.
Not.
I hate to say it, there isn't.
He's right. There's not.
There's
Those
not.
guys-
It's all a big act and a show, and it's smoke and mirrors to keep us distracted from what they're really doing.
Yep.
Well,
The public
let
knew.
them come, Allie.
Hmm?
Let them come. Let them come. I'm ready. Let them come.
I'm ready.
They're hurting my friend, our friend, Stephen.
ready.
God bless you for putting the show on tonight. There's more to discuss about some other
Absolutely.
stuff that I blasted
Absolutely.
through a bunch of stuff because I want to zero in on some of these pricks. Okay, they've hurt everybody on the show tonight,
Mhm.
and they've hurt me. But I'm still standing,
Yep.
and everybody else is standing. Allie standing, Matt standing, Angela standing, Anne-Marie standing. You're standing, Stephen, and we're a group, and we will not be defeated,
Nope.
and we will take these son of a bitches down, one by one, two by two. I don't give a shit. They're going down. Whether it's up to us to take them down, and by God, because we're God-fearing people. Everybody on this podcast tonight is God-fearing people. By God, we will take them down, and we will expose them, and we will, through the identification process and the exposure process, take their livelihoods away from them. Game,
Yes.
set, fucking match.
Accountability under the law through exposure, folks. There we go.
Yep.
There we go. Oh man, that was such a great show. Oh man, thank you everybody for joining. We should probably wrap it up. We're about 2 hours in, but man, what a powerful 2 hours we had today. Holy crap, that was
Thanks
a
for
lot of
having us on,
really
Steve.
relevant information.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you,
guys.
Stephen.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
Stephen. God bless.
Absolutely, you guys. Good night, everybody. We will be back well, I don't know when, but we're going to be covering this as things progress. So just stay tuned. We might be live tomorrow. We might be live the next day. We don't know, but we have an article coming up, and give me about 5 days to a week. Been a little behind on it. Had a lot going on in my personal life, folks, that kind of delayed me. So apologies
We're
for
there
that.
for you, brother.
I'm getting
We're
back
there
on
for you,
track right
Stephen.
now. So I'm working on it. Everybody, we will be airing that soon.
All right, sounds great. Thank you. Have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
God bless.
What is the